Hey, basketball coaches and basketball players, my name is Alan from Al's Basketball Training. Today I'm going to talk to you about some different defensive plays and strategies that you can run against a baseline inbounds. So let's get down to the clipboard and let's check these out. But first, really quickly, if you like basketball plays, drills, and skills, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. So the first strategy that a lot of teams use is the 2-3 zone, and I really don't blame them. So the reason why they use it is there's really only enough room along the baseline where the ball is being inbounded for 3 players, and generally speaking, those 3 players along the baseline should be able to theoretically defend a baseline inbounds really well. Now, the great thing about this is, yes, it does defend it really well unless you're running up against a team that knows what you're going to be doing. Because so many teams run a 2-3 zone against a baseline inbounds, they're usually running strategies against it. There's simple ways of beating it. You can collapse these 2 players to stop the inbounds, but then you can have player 4 cutting down the middle of the key, not the side of the key, which will get him the ball for a possible layup. It'll collapse the defense. Player 5 can pop down. This can be a kick out for a 3. There's some simple plays against it. But if you're running up against a team and you keep on changing between the different strategies that I'm talking about in this video, you will be very successful. Now the next play is very simple. It's a man-to-man defense. So against a man-to-man defense, again, there are simple ways of beating it. It does seem to be a little bit easier to beat than a 2-3 zone. But again, what you need to do as a coach is not run the same defense along for every single baseline inbounds, because the other team is going to see that and figure that out and start running things against you. But another great strategy that you can run is a man-to-man defense. And this is a little bit more rare than you would probably think, especially at the youth level here in Canada and mostly across the United States from what I've been hearing. A lot of teams are running a 2-3 zone against a baseline inbounds. So running a man-to-man defense is going to then confuse the other team. So now when they're trying to run a set against a zone and you show up in a man-to-man, well, you're going to have great success. And now this next play is absolutely amazing. This is one that you really don't see all that often, but generally speaking, at the youth level, what you're going to find is the other team is going to be trying to get the ball to one or two players, and that's going to be their guards. So if that's the case, and you see the other team running similar plays, trying to get the ball to the similar or same players, their guards, you can run a triangle and 2 against a baseline inbounds. And what you say to your players is, hey, I want 3 of you to set up in a triangle, and then I want my 2 best defensive players to be trying to stop the other 2 guards from getting the inbounds pass. So it's going to look like this. So we'll have our 2 biggest players down low, and then we'll have a forward up top. Now basically, I don't want anything in the key. Nothing in the key at all. Nothing goes in there. I'm not even worried about the opposite side all that much, but I do want player 4 to be watching for those passes out along the baseline for a far corner 3. And then I also want to see player 5 watching the wing, but I'm not really all that worried about it. I really want him to be facing out this way and watching which players are going to be getting that ball. Meanwhile, player 3, what he is worried about is any of the long passes to the top of the key or even out to the point as a last case ditch effort to try and get the ball inbounded. Meanwhile, we have here players 1 and 2 on their 2 guards so that we can stop them from running a play. So, for example, because there are a lot of teams that are running a 2-3 zone against a baseline inbounds, they're going to be running something similar, possibly, to this, where we'll have the 2 guards on the far side as a possibility. And now we're going to be having player 3 move over just a bit towards the side of the key. And now we look like we may be in a single coverage man-to-man type of defense we may have, them thinking, oh, why are they double teaming that player, whatever. Doesn't really matter. But in reality, this guy is going to be setting the screen for player 1. And now we want player 3 to hedge out because, of course, this is his whole area. He's going to be hedging out until player 1 can get underneath that screen. And then player 3 is going to pop through. And then same thing, player 2 is probably going to be fighting through. Player 4 is going to stay on this side. Player 5 is going to hedge just a bit until player 2 gets around. Player 4 could even go towards the middle of the key as well. And then player 2 gets around. Player 2 red is still defending him. And now they're pretty well stuck. There's not much they're able to do. We have player 5 defending player 5. Single coverage, single coverage. Player 3 is up here. And even if they turn around and try and set a screen again for player 1 is going to be popping out. And we still have player 3 covering. So this is a fantastic strategy that you can run as a team. And it has been very successful for some of the teams that I've helped out with our coaches membership running a zone defense like this against a baseline inbounds, and it really does work really well. And then the last strategy that I personally use every single time. Now, when I was in high school, when I was a player, we ran a 2-3 zone every single time against the baseline inbounds. That's why I'm not a huge fan of running a 2-3 zone, but I thought I would throw it in this video and explain to you why it's not a great idea. However, what I like to explain to my players, my team, is our unbeatable basketball defense, the 1-4 that I personally created, I personally run with every single team I've ever coached. Other than when I was in high school, I helped out coach a grade 7 team. Other than that, basically, we ran it with every single team. It's been really successful, and when you really think about it, a 1-4, we're double teaming everything. That whoever has the ball from the free throw line and below is getting a double team. And when you're talking about 4 players along the baseline, stopping an inbounds play from coming in, and 1 guy up at the point picking off any long passes, there is no way that you can get that ball inbounded very easily. And basically, it got to a point when we were in the OBAs one year, which is our kind of provincial championship for club basketball, sort of like our version of AAU, and we held a team to 50% of the time they were able to get the ball inbounded from the baseline. The other 50% of the time, they were called basically for the 5 seconds of not being able to pass it in because they were not able to. This is why that defense is so great. It's not just the fact that everyone from the free throw line and below is getting a double team. It's the fact that you're also not able to get the ball inbounded from the baseline. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure to go check out that book. The link is in the description below, and I will see you guys again later on today for the second video of the day.